Father, the sleeper has awakened!
What's up, YouTube? This is Artisan MC, and this time I want to talk about this protest situation and the stuff surrounding it. Now, if you've been watching the news just like pretty much everyone has the last couple of days, you'll see a lot of things coming out from this protest. And the first thing I'll say is that the protest was righteous. Protest should have happened. I liked that the protest happened. Not just that it happened here, but that it happened around the world. People of every ethnicity, age group around the world got out of their houses and protested based on what they saw on camera, which was the senseless killing of George Floyd. Now, some people may see that as really shocking. The only thing that's shocking about it is that they caught the death of this man on camera. That's the only thing that I found shocking about it. The whole getting cuffed up and sat on by 4 officers, none of which being black because apparently they're so intimidated by you and your size, is per normal. For what I've seen, for what I've grown up with and lived through, that is not out of the ordinary at all. Be it Minnesota or California, police officers as a group treat black people the worst. They do. They have no regard for black people in that respect, and especially if you factor in the whole working as police officers in blighted, poor areas. They really give less than a fuck about you, and that's just being honest. It's a job, and it's a job that most of them probably hate, be it adrenaline junkies or not. They probably hate that fucking job and the people that they work around, and so it comes out when they are dealing with the public out in the streets, and this is how you catch it on camera. There were a number of disgusting things that I saw during the last couple of days. And to me, the rioting and the looting was the least of them. And I'll tell you why. It comes down to 3 points for this with me. It's the protest, it's the politicizing, and the increased policing. Now, as I just said, I believe the protest was justified. The protest should have fucking happened. It should have. But as I said before, in my stream after Ahmaud Arbery, I personally am sick of seeing marches after killings. I'm sick of seeing marches after killings. I mean, it shows a level of support that people have for each other, for recognizing the injustice of the whole situation. But how far does it really go into resolving that situation? Honestly, did the protest after Ahmaud Arbery being killed, did that stop police officers in Minneapolis at all? No. Did it give them a reason to second guess themselves or think a little bit about what they were doing? On camera or otherwise? No. Did it stop the president from saying the goofy shit he said after the fact and employing the goofy methods that he did after the fact? No. So at this point in my life, after seeing enough of these things, I'm of the opinion that marching doesn't work. That marching only serves one purpose. Well, let's be fair. Let's say it serves two purposes. Okay? The first purpose is for people to show solidarity for the ones who are affected and for their outrage over the given situation. It shows that they find it just as egregious as you do, and they're showing that they stand with you in wanting that to be resolved. All well and good. I think all, higher functioning, relatively normal people should not want to see police officers killing regular citizens in the street, whatever their past may be, because if they were not engaged in that act, police shot them or killed them in some kind of way, then none of that stuff is relevant to how they passed from this plane at police hands. None of that stuff is relative. What is relative is the fact that police officers have this culture that it seems like, since this is not happening in just one precinct in one city or one state out of 50, is happening all over in a multitude of states. And what this tells you is that this is a prevailing attitude amongst police. Primarily Caucasian police officers in areas around minority neighborhoods. Now, some may argue that this type of behavior happens in low-income Caucasian neighborhoods and Latino neighborhoods and all the rest of that stuff. Yeah, I'm sure it probably does. But when you catch it on video, we'll protest for you too. At the moment, though, this is happening to black men predominantly. And I'm one that believes this shit needs to stop. Now, do I think a march is going to stop it? Absolutely fucking not. Do I think legislation is going to stop it? Absolutely fucking not. Not if it doesn't have any teeth in it. And for me right now, that's what I'm wanting. Teeth in what needs to happen with this shit. I am big on vengeance, I am big on punishment, and I am big on retribution. And a march is not retribution. It's not. A march is a weak person's show of strength. Because if you're not willing to return the favor, what are you really willing to do? Which brings me to the political side of this whole thing. Said marching only serves two purposes. One is solidarity for the people who have seen this and agree it's just as wrong as you do. All well and good. The other side of marching, which it is more beneficial for nowadays, is politics. And how politicians and special interest groups take whatever crisis has happened that people are in an uproar and upset about, and they latch onto it and try to find a way to throw their name and their banner all over it and market the shit like you're selling Nike shoes or hamburgers, and try to roll up every political issue that they have on their docket to champion, wrapped up in this protest that has absolutely dick to do with anything they're talking about. And this is the other part that disgusts me about this. That you will take a man's death, another man's death and wrap your political ideology on top of it, to have people chanting your slogan and increase your coffers and your support and your reach politically. To me, this means you have no care for that man. You are not outraged by his killing. You are not outraged by this cop that did it. You're not outraged with the people who are actually upset about all of this. You're not. The only thing you're looking at this groundswell of discontent is to see it as your next opportunity to self-promote your bullshit. And that is disgusting. It's disgusting to any man that has died and had you people show up to the march. Now, Angry Man made an interesting point the other day about how Donald Trump was acting reminded him of a dictatorship, that he was making some dictator moves. And I would agree with him. Some of the stuff that he showed and I saw was, yeah, this was like straight out of Dictators 101, you know, moving the crowd through visuals. Not okay. Don't agree with it at all. But trust and believe, the other thing that I found really disturbing is the number of people chanting all over the world, Black Lives Matter, when you can go to this group's charter and know they give no fucks about straight black men dying. They don't. They care not. They're not even included. Not in their charter, not in their war room. The only place their ass is included is when they are killed and they can show up to the scene. Another stage, another body to prop themselves on top of and use as a podium to spew their message. And to me, that's disgusting because it takes away from the real issue that's actually happening. The real issue that people are gathered and protesting for real change or the discontent with what they saw happen. Turning it into a BLM rally for you, and now shifting the focus to women and trans and all the rest of that shit. Look, the man that died was not trans, and he damn sure wasn't a woman. Now, you can say the protest was about the last 3 people who had got killed. You know, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and George Floyd. You can say it was about all 3 of those. All well and good. But what I noticed is the only reason all this feminism shit jumped up into the mix was because George Floyd's face was all over this protest. That he was the face of this protest. And that's what they were upset about. Because it doesn't market them. And that's why you saw the focus shifting. That the focus had to shift away from him and shift onto what they wanted to talk about. In my mind, I say, well, go and get choked out by the police, and then we'll do it all about you. It will be. But that was one of the more disgusting parts of it. The political jockeying and shifting. This is one of the more interesting times in history that you have a mass group of people conscious, aware, and active about what's going on. Not on a political basis, just on the right and wrong of a thing, if you want to make it a moral argument. Just the injustice of it, if you want to make it illegal. This was a deplorable act. And it should be viewed and continue to be focused on and viewed as what it was, an injustice. And justice needs to be sure is done in this case. It should not be used as a political trampoline to springboard somebody else's career and aspirations in some damn direction that has nothing to do with getting justice for this man's death. Only to increase their membership, increase their visibility, and increase money and donations to their group that do nothing for that man and his family. I'm sick of seeing that shit too. I'm done with it. I think it was a quote in Fahrenheit 451 where Montag is talking to his chief, his fire chief. Basically, the scene was that the two men were talking, and the senior man in the situation, who was in the know, started explaining everything about the society to the younger man who thought he was doing something revolutionary. And he's telling him how all of this whole world is freaking constructed. That even in the position of being a fire chief, where you think, well, that's just one fire station, it's just one chief, he had a keen grasp and knowledge of what the fuck was going on in his society and how it worked. And one of the lines he said was that he didn't worry about certain things so much because the special interest groups would keep each other in check. Why? Because it keeps people distracted from the main issues and coming together on the important ones, because it sets up ideological boundaries to their thinking. There's one pie in the room, everybody has a knife, and everybody is trying to go at the pie to get the biggest slice for themselves. And that's what it does. It just serves to keep people from being on one accord about one issue and getting that shit resolved and moving to the next. This is what disgusts me about politics. And you saw that this week, because there are very few people in it working for the common good of the citizens. Now, the third part of this whole scenario comes in to the over and extra policing. Now, another thing that I found more disgusting this week was listening to the mayor of New York give his speech today. And a lot of what he was talking about in his speech was support for police officers. No officer should be killed, and if that happens, then they're going to come down really hard on them. And my question is this: is a police officer not a citizen, just like that man in Minnesota with the knee on his fucking neck is a citizen? Why is there an extra call for justice on a police officer being killed and a kind of, well, you know, shit happens kind of feeling on the black man being killed? See, this is the hypocrisy of this whole fucking society. And it's best summed up in Animal Farm. 2 legs bad, 4 legs good. And basically, black folks have 2 legs. That's what I'm hearing. Because in my mind, after protest and rioting for the last couple of days, it is absolutely asinine for you to get up, tell people they could peacefully protest until you call it, until you tell them it's time to take their ass home, and then complain and be stern about police officers losing their life. Look, police officers signed up for that shit. Not to lose their life, but to have a job that puts them in a position where that could happen. You know who doesn't sign up for that shit? Regular, everyday citizens. They do not sign up for that shit. And that's why it should be more egregious when it happens to them. Especially when it happens to them by the people who have the bulletproof vests and the guns. So, I thought the mayor's speech was bullshit, pretty much. And I only say bullshit because to use more words on it than that would be a waste of my time. Just like listening to his whole speech with all the words he was using to simply say, I stand behind the police and y'all need to get y'all asses off the street when we say so. You can have your little protest, but when we tell you to go home, you need to go home. That is not how this country works. I'm sorry. That's not how the Constitution works. It doesn't say the right to peaceful protest is until they tell you to go home. It tells you have the right to peaceful protest. Period. Now, if you want to instill a curfew to stop looting, I don't think looting is going to happen in the crowd of the peaceful people who are just sitting there. Why don't you take your ass to find the looters? Should be pretty easy to find since the looters will be running from the scene and busting windows, not the people sitting in protest. Watch all this shit and you hear them talking the talk, not just the mayor, but also Trump and stuff like that, and all the extra shit that they're saying. It's all extra policing, extra layers of fucking policing that are going to be put on you, and they'll give you the same song and dance about we're moving to get better and everything is under investigation. And I'm like, look, it's always under investigation when it's a regular citizen, always. But when it's a police officer, they're kicking in doors. They finding somebody. Right or wrong, they finding somebody. Quick. So here's my thing on this whole situation, because you know more policing is coming down. Curfews is just one part of it. The National Guard being on your streets is another part of it, because I saw a whole column of Hummers just yesterday driving home. And they ain't going nowhere to get a car wash. I'm telling you that shit right now. They posted up, waiting for the go code. That's all they waiting on. Because I'm working in downtown Oakland, where the protests are happening. I'm seeing all the police lying in the streets when I'm leaving the city, waiting for shit to just pop off. They just chilling, looking for their 15 seconds of fame. So here's my thing on this whole shit. Yeah, the rioting was bad. The looting is bad. Yes, but you should have expected the looting after all this COVID bullshit. You should have expected that. Because people are out of work. People are kind of fucking broke. And they need shit. And this was a perfect opportunity for some people to get the things that they fucking needed that they couldn't afford to pay for. It doesn't mean a fucking Hellcat is something you need to be pulling off the showroom floor right now if you couldn't buy that shit regularly. But dumbasses are everywhere in every color. And when I look at these looting videos, I'm not seeing a bunch of black folks running out of the store with shit. I don't. I see a whole crowd of people. So it is what the fuck it is. Does it help the small businesses? No, but it wasn't a bunch of small businesses getting fucked up. It was a bunch of large corporations shit. Macy's is a corporation. Coach is a corporation. Target is a corporation. They can absorb some of that shit. Okay? I don't want to hear it. I really don't give a fuck. Personally. Whatever. They have insurance. They get money back on that shit and they getting product. And will probably be selling to the same people that ran in their store. So, to me, that's expected. You should have planned for that shit. But to sum it up, since this is long and all these fucking cars keep passing by, messing up my audio, I will say, I think I have the solution to this shit stopping. That police officers killing black men in the street and getting caught on video for it and not having any real justification and getting slaps on the wrist for this shit. I think I have the solution for that shit. I think when these motherfuckers who commit these kind of acts start dropping too, then maybe police officers will get their head on fucking straight. Because I don't think legislation is going to do it unless it has teeth. And I'm not talking about two spread apart gap teeth. I'm talking about some big fucking fangs to put that paralyzing agent in you to cut it the fuck out. But I know absolutely that if the officers who keep perpetrating these kind of crimes start falling down the same way the person that they have killed fell down, then you might start seeing police officers getting their fucking head screwed on correctly. And you might see that coming to an end. You might. Because for me, I believe in vengeance and I believe in retribution, and I also believe in reciprocity. Now you can take that however you want. I don't care. But best believe, if you don't want to be blind to, you'll make sure the shit stops after that shit. So that's my 2 cents on it. Like, share, subscribe, support the righteous protests. Don't let up on these people if you don't have to. Apparently they listened a bit because they brought these guys up on charges, but that was just because everybody was out there protesting. They had to do something to calm down the masses, because at the end of the day, the government is scared of its people, and it should fucking be. It should be, because you're supposed to be acting in the best interest of them. So that's my 2 cents on that. I'm gonna get out of here, hit these showers in this 100-degree California heat, and I will see you guys next time.